We are live. We are on. We got a little putt game going. How are you doing, Mr. Unforced? I don't know if I know your first name.
Aaron Gabriel.
Aaron. All right, cool.
You and I are fellow AGs.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got the AG thing going on. I wish I had your hair. Your hair mogging me pretty bad right now.
Very good. I'm glad. Well, you're slop mogging me, so you know.
There's so much slop. It's so sloppy. Yes. Yes. Also, my putt game is a little bit better.
Totally. You're definitely putt mogging me. Yeah. Big fan.
So you're down in Boulder. I'm up in Fort Collins.
I love that. Fort Collins is great.
We got some thunderstorms rolling in here. I suppose it's probably similar there.
We've had a little bit of weather. It would be nice if we had some more because it's very hot, and our AC recently broke at our co-working space at the Region Hub.
You're at the Region Hub right now, huh?
Yes, okay. I'm at the Region Hub.
I'm a big fan of the Region Hub.
You know, look at all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I gave a talk there just a little while ago for, was it ETH Boulder? Is that
ETH Boulder? That's right.
Yeah. Yep. And Owaki's office is back there to the corner too, right? Is he still? That's it. We're looking right at. That's his door right there, right?
Yeah. Bango.
Yeah.
He doesn't have all his fancy LEDs. Sometimes it's like, you know, he's the AV club steward, aka the LED light steward, and so, you know, lots of LED lights in there. You know,
cool.
Talk about the real world Slop.Computer.
Yes.
Yes. Tiny objects.
Yes. I usually have, like, in my background, I have like actual like nodes running and stuff. I'm gonna get those back because like with the green screen, I can't really show off my nerdy. I have like definitely like a command center back here. I'm gonna get that set up soon. Okay. Yes. So I think today we're talking about, you know, parachute.computer is one thing, but in general on the Slop.Computer, we kind of talk through how you sloperate and what models and what harnesses you're using and what secret powers you have. So I think, like, I don't know exactly, maybe if Parachute, what problem did Parachute answer for you as you were sloperating?
Parachute answered, there were like, okay, there's like three different ones. One, back in college, I was working on a project called Quantified Life, and I wanted to create a way to record journal entries, but then record random facts about my day. You know, I was in college, so it was like how much alcohol did I drink, how much weed did I smoke, how productive was I, how happy was I, how much did I sleep. I wanted to like start mapping out all this information about my life so I could like notice correlations, but like that was college age. I was still new as a programmer. There's a lot going on. And so I wanted to, it was the whole quantified self movement. I was really interested in that. So one was like, I want to have a place to get all of my data so I can start noticing all the patterns in my life. That's been a recurring interest. And then from that interest, I've like looked at different journaling platforms, ways of organizing information. And I spent a lot of time going back and forth between two things, Tana and Obsidian. I'm sure most people know Obsidian.
I know Obsidian is notes, but I don't know the first one. Tana,
T-A-N-A. It's, you know, Rome Research.
Yep.
Yeah, Rome Research like preceded Obsidian, a lot of these. And it was like, how do you map a bunch of stuff? And it really enjoyed this thing of like notes are like this atomic little like node, like bullet points and like outliner journaling, but then you can like link things between it. And so similar knowledge graph ideas to Obsidian, but just like really leaning into the outliner. But like Tana brought in a lot of like what I think makes Notion really appealing, where you can actually have structured data. And Tana introduced this idea of a super tag where you could tag your notes, but a tag could serve as a type, and a type could define different fields and like basically schemas. And so you could start having just like, you know, very like emergent journaling, jotting stuff down, but then you could start structuring it. And that was really interesting. But it was like, you know, all my data is saved in a Firebase somewhere. I don't get to own it. They don't give me a good API for working with it. So I'm like, oh, this is a great way of structuring information, but I can't access my information. And so I ended up doing this thing where I was going back and forth between Obsidian and Tana. And I would go to one, I'm like, oh my God, I've missed this one. And then 6 months later, I would be tired of it. And I would go, oh my God, I've missed this one. And I just like kept getting at this place of like a good way of organizing my knowledge does not exist. Like Tana allows me to have like dynamically structured data, super helpful, accessible anywhere. Obsidian's nice because it's locally hosted, but it's like, you know, just files. It doesn't give me like the way to dynamically search and query and organize my information in the ways I really need to. And
so you needed it local and rich.
Yeah, exactly. And so Parachute was really solving that. And it solves it by being like, sweet, you've got your notes, you've got links between your notes, you've got tags on your notes, and those tags can be meta tags, super tags.
Richer structured
richer structured information. So now it's like you have your notes that basically can map directly to a file system to Markdown. But that can also live in a SQLite database, which means you can like query over them. And then you can have this kind of like one-to-one mapping between your file system and your SQLite database. So now all of a sudden you can have the SQLite database, which allows you to be like, okay, query all notes with a given tag, query based on this one. And you couldn't do that in Obsidian because it's like going and searching through all the things and it doesn't have that kind of mapping. So it's this way of like dynamically structuring it, which means not only can I have what Obsidian gives me, where I can just have all of my notes and organize them every which way, but also from all of my notes, I can have an object-oriented database, which means I can create dynamic front-end surfaces that are pulling from a like open interoperable API, which means I can have something like Obsidian, but then I can build any dynamic front-end surface on top of it. I can let my AI surface it. I can dynamically create MCPs so that it, like an AI can like query it in different ways. And it becomes this really dynamic memory layer that lets like my ChatGPT and my Claude and my like Goose and my Hermes and all of these things.
I don't think I use Goose. Is Goose another agent?
Goose is an open source agent. I haven't played around with it too much, but I'm really interested in it. That was built by Block. In case you don't know, Jack Dorsey is like super cracked on the open source AI.
This is a Jack Dorsey thing. Okay, yep, I do remember this now. Sorry, we're gonna go on lots of tangents. I have like the worst ADHD, so I'm like, okay, Goose, let's go down that. This is it right here, though, right? And it's Jack Dorsey's agent framework. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's Jack Dorsey's open agent framework.
Okay. Sorry for the detour. Back to Parachute. And okay, so now I've kind of taken over. When you say get vault, so the call to action here is to get vault, but it's a local SQL database. What's the mapping between getting a vault and having a local SQL database? What's happening there?
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Okay. For me, when I see get vault, I'm imagining some locked storage that lives in the cloud or something like that. Yeah, and it's not that, is it?
If you click get vault here,
yeah,
you will create an account and you will basically have a SQLite durable object that lives in Cloudflare.
Got it. But you can self-host, and that's something else. And it's like, hey,
you pick it up on DigitalOcean or whatever, or your own Mac Mini. Like my Parachute's running on my Mac Mini. You self-host it, and now you have your little Parachute computer where you can spin up all of your Parachute vaults and have like dynamic MCPs and APIs for all of them.
So is this front end going to run on top of my local host vault? That would be really cool. Like I post in.
Yeah. If you like, hang on. How do I screen share now?
It's right. It's bottom left, right here. Here, let me get some stuff out of the way. Yeah, sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, Hermes, you must have given it to your agent. Your agent just said hello in the chat.
Yeah, it worked. Good.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, here's my, if I go to like my.parachute.computer, it's like, boom, here's my like little vault. And these are just my like, this is running on Parachute Cloud. But if I go to like, hang on, there's different ones. Like here's my.parachute.computer. And it's like, this is running, these notes are in a SQLite database on Cloudflare. But then if I come over to mine, which is hosted on, I'm accessing it via my Tailscale, so it's only available on my Tailscale devices. It has the same interface. Here's all of my notes, my custom views.
So you have to set up Tailscale though to give access to it. Like there's
you could have it running on your local thing. You could set it up with cloud. Basically, the Parachute self-host installer will either let you host it on just like Loopback, where it's just on your local host, or will let you configure it to set it up with Tailscale, so it's only available for your Tailscale devices. Or you can set up like proper authentication and set it up on Cloudflare or Caddy so that it's available anywhere on the internet. And then you just have your authentication protocols to get into it, which is like basically more of what the
Very nice. But it's kind of like this WordPress model of like, you can use it in the cloud if you want. Just go here and sign up for it and use it,
Yep.
or run it locally, set up Tailscale to give access to it.
And then it's like the same thing works in either one. And I can even go on this one, which is my cloud instance, and I can connect my cloud instance to my self-host instance. So
and they can tag each other and talk each other or something.
I'm like getting that added in. So now it's
That's
like
cool.
Here I'm accessing my cloud vault and then my self-host vault. And it's like all accessible, like right in one place.
Okay, so show me something in here. Like, what are we doing? What's on your mind? You would come in here and you would like put in a journal log entry, or hey, I just had a meeting
I'm
with
like
Austin
moving into
and
work mode. I'm like journaling about projects I'm working on. I'm working on some Bitcoin stuff today. I'm working on Parachute, some Atlas stuff. So I'm just like journaling and getting a bunch of my stuff down. I like hop in here on morning pages, and I'm just like morning pages, and I just start chatting.
Typing with your fingers. Your pingies are doing this.
I do. Although also, I click record right here, and I can just
talk.
Down. I can record. I can click stop. I can click create. It'll take just a few seconds, and it'll basically go in transcript, and LLM clean it up on the back end.
Nice.
And in just a few seconds, I'll have this transcript fully loaded in here. And so it's like meant to work really well, whether you prefer typing or with voice. I personally really enjoy, you can see it's right there.
Yep.
I personally really enjoy typing, at least in like the morning and in the evening. It's just like how I think better. But I like going on a walk and just grabbing my phone and clicking record.
Yeah.
And just going for a long
rambling. Just yap with it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I like typing. I feel like I can think while I'm typing, and it goes at a different speed. While it's waiting for me to talk, I feel bad. But I have a new baby, and when I'm holding a baby, it's so nice to just be able to hit the button and be like, fix the thing right now. And then hit the button and it goes. It's so nice.
100%. Yeah. I live with a 6-month-old baby, and so I use that workflow, and it's like, leading me to think about like when I'll have a baby, which is probably still, a couple years away, but I'm like thinking about that, and I'm like building all these systems up because I'm like, okay, by the time I have a kid, I want to make sure that like I can do all the work I'm doing in the world, and
with one hand or no
all
hands.
the attention to the little one.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what. So a lot of this. It's funny. Speaking of the little ones, I had another episode, and there was a lot of, I don't know, kind of doom and gloom around the permanent underclass and how centralizing AI is becoming. And I don't know. We need to build a better world for the younger ones. And I think it does start with a lot of this stuff of like local hosted LLMs and counterfactual builds where you can use Parachute in the cloud, but you can also host it locally anytime you want.
Yep.
And just the fact that you can do that makes it almost more acceptable to just do it in the cloud because the UX is better. I don't know. There's some interesting things there.
Yeah. And like, I've been really focusing on the self-hosted one because like I'm a nerd and I love that. And I'm like hearing from a bunch of friends, it's like, I just want a really good notes app that just works really well. And so then from that perspective, I'm like, oh, these people don't want a self-host thing. They just want to like download a notes app,
get there,
start taking their notes,
yep,
and instantly be able to have their AI talk to their notes. Like that's what a bunch of people want.
Download a notes app. So do you have this like in the App Store too, or is it just a website?
It's a progressive web app.
Oh, so it's a PWA that they like add to home screen.
Yeah,
that UX sucks. So it's like, so hard to like.
Yeah,
and it almost has to be like a friend explains to you how to add to home screen, right?
Yeah, and we'll get it into the App Store soon. I'm basically like refining the PWA experience, and then once that's solid, then I'm going to get into the App Store because it's pretty easy. Like with Tori and everything, I can kind of take the whole PWA I've built and just create a little nice native wrapper around it.
What's Tori?
Tori is, I would say, the most interesting competitor to Flutter and React Native. It's basically it's React wrapped in Rust. And it's really good for desktop applications, and the mobile experience is getting pretty good.
This right here, right? Is that the right thing? Okay.
Yep,
cool.
Exactly.
Cool.
And so it's like web apps wrapped in Rust. And so
that goes to the mobile store.
Trying to do a lot of stuff in Flutter for a while, and I'm just a little disappointed in Google these days. And so Rust seems like it's a little more interesting.
Okay, now you're writing notes with your pingies? Are you writing code with your pingies, or is that
to the agent? I would say I probably, my notes, I probably do 70 or 80% with my fingies. My code is more like 30 or 40% with my fingies, and like
wow,
60% voice notes.
Okay, so you're definitely still reading the code too.
No.
Okay,
sorry.
no. I mean, you have to read
like
the stuff you type. Yeah.
60% prompting with my fingers. I don't write code.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I haven't written code in like a year and a half.
Okay. Yeah. I guess that's what I meant. Yeah. I guess it does. When I say with your fingers, you could be prompting with your fingers.
Yeah. I prompt with my fingers. I prompt with my fingers during the day, but also like evening and morning. I just have my little like daylight computer tablet, and I'm just like voice noting to Claude.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really write any of my own code, and I very rarely read my code. I frequently have my Claude like giving me like really good explanations of the system's architecture.
Sure.
And so I have like enough of the very high level parachute systems architecture in my brain. But I would not be able to tell you like the names of any of the files or the services or things like that. I recently told my Claude, I was like, bro, you keep prompting me like I'm a staff senior engineer. And while I can understand that language, I don't enjoy it. Relate to me as a technical product manager. Like that's who I am, a technical product manager.
We all are now.
Talk to me like that.
Yes. Yeah. So did you write code before this? I thought you said maybe you did write some code before.
Yeah.
But
so
not anymore.
I studied computer science.
Okay.
Graduated in 2015. Interned at Google. Went and worked at a YC startup for a little bit. And then decided I did not want to work a 40-hour-a-week job, and went and like hung out in Hawaii at dance retreats and tantra festivals and permaculture farms. And promptly, after using like a month or so of my unlimited vacation, my boss is like, are you coming back? And I was like, probably not. And so then I like left my job and basically spent the next like 5 years just like hippie nomading around.
Nice. You have a cool van?
Yeah, I had a cool van. For a while, I had like a RAV4 with a tent that folded off the top.
Oh, yeah.
That was my favorite. And so I did that for a while. And then I started running out of money and started going back and writing some code again. Built like a full app as like a co-founder CTO that started out of a contract job of this like gratitude social network thing. And that was fun. And I enjoyed like getting back into writing a bunch of code. And so that was like 2019, I got back into writing code. And then I was like, I'm bored of this again. And so I went and got like a master's studying ecopsychology from Naropa and studying like systems change and like how we shift paradigms. And then I was like, oh, okay, I should probably, change comes from inside systems, and the tech systems need to change. And I need to get financially stable again. So let's go work in tech. And so I went and got a job at Google and wrote code at Google as a DevRel engineer for about a year and a half. And then I was part of the mass layoffs in 2023. And then I like focused more on community and like civic engagement stuff. And then I was like, and then AI started happening. I'm like, oh, okay, now we're really getting back into code. And I basically spent the last like two and a half years writing a lot of code with AI.
Yes. And back in the day, there was a lot of you're absolutely right. And a lot of like, you really have to keep a leash on it. And now you can just let it rip. Yeah.
I remember I had been like using Cursor to build like a few little things, but it was like, prompting Cursor to be like, write this function and write this function. And then Windsurf came out. I was at like a family vacation. I was watching like a Christmas movie with my family. And while it's doing that, I'm like, this Windsurf thing is interesting. And I just like prompted it. And like, while I'm watching this thing, it built this whole app that like scraped events. And like, you just put in a URL and it would scrape the event and create this like community events calendar. And I'm just like, oh. And so that was a year and a half ago. And since then, like, it has been almost fully agentic coding since then.
Same. And really, I say the inflection point was like November of 2025 when Opus 4.5 came out. Yeah. Because at that point, you stopped having to put it in a box and say like this one little feature needs to be done. And you could start thinking of it as like an abstract, this is the product I want. Go. Yeah. And it could do that. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk harnesses and models. Like in terms of your like daily driver, what are you using every day as a harness? What are you using every day as an LLM? Are you a Claude guy? Are you a Codex guy? Something else?
Pretty hardcore Claude. I haven't often liked OpenAI as a company, and I haven't like vibed with ChatGPT as an intelligence. Like it's never felt as coherent to me. I'm using Codex a little bit now because I wanted to play around with Hermes, and like, you know, Anthropic is still being annoying and won't like, you know, maybe they're allowing it a little bit, but like, you know, still much easier to use Codex inside of like my other tools. And so I'm using Codex a little bit inside of Hermes. And now I'm starting to play with Grok as a thing inside of Hermes. And but I've mostly just been Claude Code all the way. I just run Claude Code inside of Tmux on my Mac Mini. I type / remote control, and then I just like use Claude Code remote control sessions from my laptop or from my Daylight computer usually, which is like a really nice, like well-being centric tablet that you can use outside and doesn't have glare and is easy on the eyes. And so most of the time I'm like walking around on my Daylight, just like voice prompting into my Claude Code remote session.
Tablet? What's a Daylight look like? I don't know Daylight. Is it a tablet?
It's an e-paper screen. So it's like e-ink, but it's like actually reflective LCD, which means it's easy on the eye.
Seen these.
But it's 60 FPS, which is just
very
like
nice.
Pretty radical. And
I feel like I've seen demos where someone's like writing like some math and it just like does the math for them. Is that the same kind of thing? Like they're drawing on the thing, like they're writing like 2 + 2 =, and then it like solves it, and you see like 4 show up.
Say again.
I don't know if this is the same thing, but I feel like I've seen tablet demos where people are like, it's like more interactive, where they're like writing some math and it like actually like does the math.
Oh yeah, people have done that on the Daylight.
That's the
like
Daylight. Okay.
For that, a lot of people do that on Remarkable as well. I think that's been a popular one, and like Remarkable was an early experiment in these kind of like tablets. And I just like the e-ink, and I like being able to jot things down. But I also like being able to bridge. I don't want to just use that for just like my like writing. I want that to integrate with all of my note-taking systems, which means I need like full Android OS, and Daylight gives me a full Android OS with like the nice hardware.
So you're writing code in this thing, or you're prompting agents?
I open up Claude Code on the Daylight, and then I just open my remote control sessions. And so I use the Claude app on there to send remote control messages to my Mac Mini, basically. And I'll even like open a terminal app up there when I need to like zoom into a terminal to like configure things. But 90% of it is just in the Claude app on my Daylight.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so mostly Claude, some Codex, some GPT. Okay.
Yeah, starting to play around with Hermes. I'm interested in things like that. I'm really curious right now about Buzz. Have you seen Buzz?
I haven't. Let me look it up. Is it an agent or?
It's another Jack Dorsey.
Okay.
And it is a open source Slack replacement that is like agent native. So it just like makes it super easy for all of your agents to hang out in there. You can talk to your agents can talk to each other. He just announced this like yesterday, I think. And I'm like pretty stoked on it. It's using Nostr under the surface. So you can self-host the whole thing. It can even serve as like a Git server. So it can be like open source Slack replacement and GitHub replacement. All your agents plug into it. Uses agent client protocol. So you can just like plug a Claude Code in, plug a Codex in, plug Goose in. And then you just got like your like second brain hive mind system where all of your agents can work. And so yeah, this just came out yesterday, and I played with it very minimally, but I'm pretty bullish on the potential of it. And so my plan is to start using this and having my Claude sessions and maybe Hermes agents and other agents plugging into this.
You said second brain, which I kind of thought your parachute was your second brain.
My parachute is my second brain memory layer. This feels like it can be the agent interface layer. And I can give my agents that hang out in here access to one or multiple parachutes, but I could start having different agents that have different parachute memory layers. So I can have my like main chief of staff one that knows all about me, and that can have all of my intimate stuff because I'm journaling intimate details all the time. And then I can have that one running on a local model, so all of my journals don't go to to Anthropic or OpenAI, and then I can have that one be like, okay, sweet, I've compiled some tasks. Let me go and drop this in the Parachute development channel, and now that'll send it over to a Parachute agent that has a Parachute for Parachute where it's doing its development, and then there can be different agents that work there, and so I could just have different like chat rooms for all of the different projects I'm working on where different agents live, and each of those agents can then have a Parachute as their memory layer that I can have an interface into. And so like this and Parachute, I think, will go very well together.
So how do you discover this stuff? Is it crypto Twitter? Well, I guess it's just called Twitter. It's probably it's really not called crypto Twitter, but like, what's your discovery layer, and how much time do you spend discovering, I guess?
Yeah, I scroll X far too much.
Me too.
So that's probably where I see most things.
Okay.
One of these days, I'm going to get better at having an agent that will scroll X for me. But what did you say?
Oh, I am sharing us.
Oh, and
I was doing some kind of like
nice.
us inside of us kind of
very
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Wow, trippy.
Okay, so your discovery layer is a lot of just like scrolling X all day, like I do. Yep. I find that like my productivity is sort of like, the more time I spend scrolling, the less time I spend prompting, and that's bad. And if I find myself scrolling too much, I know that I need to start prompting. Just like, stop.
100%.
Yes.
And what I'm finding is if I spend too much time prompting, I need to start typing. And that's why I really like am making more of a practice of just like going into my Parachute and just writing into my journal without like trying to speak directly to an agent, just prompting into my journal. And then usually what I'll do is I'll prompt into my journal, and then I'll go over to some agent that's working on a project and be like, hey, I just put a big journal entry with a bunch of context in this note in my Parachute. Can you go read that and pull that into context?
Cool. So it's sort of like the memory layer is also maybe even like the communication layer a little bit. Like when you have one talking to another, you sort of like reference it and it can go get that information. Yeah.
And I've had a thing where I built Parachute agents directly into a Parachute vault where basically there would be a connector. So anytime I wrote a note that was like agent/message, it would automatically use a connector and send that into a Parachute agent, which was basically a Claude agent SDK behind the scenes that was running it. And so I was doing that for a bit, and then I was just like, I need to focus on like layer 1 first, which is getting the vault super solid and the MCP and getting it like to work well with any agent. So that was when I started playing around with like Hermes and other things. So eventually I'll probably build like a Parachute agent layer directly in, but I just deprioritized it because I need to, my ADD brain wants to work on 1,000 things that are 7 steps ahead of myself, and I need to get this step right first.
Same. What about local AI? You do any local models, any of that? Like you did a speech to text earlier. Did that speech to text go all the way to the cloud and back, or was that a local model doing that?
That speech to text, if it was on my Parachute cloud, then it was going through Parachute or through Cloudflare AI workers. But I think it was on my self-hosted one, which means it was using Parakeet MLX running on my Mac Mini.
I don't know if I know Parakeet.
Parakeet is NVIDIA's open source Whisper alternative. I just like it. But it's the same thing as Whisper.
Nice.
Yep.
And like you didn't see someone tweet Parakeet MLX. You actually like went looking for speech to text. Like there was a moment where you needed to do speech to text. Like what's your process there?
Yeah, I think it's more like I like enough open source AI things. And so at one point, NVIDIA, like I just got a notification in some random AI newsletter or Twitter or whatever. That was
so it could be still part of your algorithm.
Like, hey, there's a new open source speech to text model. And I was like, that's really cool. And then I just started using it. And like I have friends who are developing in this space, and like a friend CJ built this handy.computer thing and he was using it. So I was like, oh, if he's using it there, I'll use it over here. And so I just like track enough open source projects where I'm like, oh, you're doing some interesting things here. And like, if I get like a reset from Claude tomorrow and I have like a day of unlimited Claude credit,
just let it
what I'm going to do is I'm going to like point my AI at buzz.xyz, and like they're doing a bunch of really interesting stuff in open source AI. Are there any patterns that they're using there that I can apply to Parachute? and just
because
like
it's open source, you can let
Yeah.
your agent rip and actually like look at the code. And
exactly.
learn
And
from it.
I've done that on Handy to get
Sweet.
some of my like transcription things on point. I'll do that. And anytime there's like really good stuff and I'm doing stuff that's in the ballpark but a little different, I'll just be like, go study their open source repo and find any patterns and use that to come sketch out how we should build a new feature or fundamentally change some of our underlying architecture.
That's really cool. So while I'm doing a lot of these slop computers, one of the questions in the back of my head is like, how is this person's brain wired different than others? Like, what is their, because there's like some wiring. There's like, when you meet someone who's never used AI, they don't even know how they would use it. And when you meet someone who's used AI a shitload, they have like these weird confidence in different things and weird paths. And I think I have this notes file that's just full of, I just call it agent backlog. And every time I see something cool, I put it in my agent backlog, but it just goes there to die. You have parachute, you have memory layers, and every time you see something cool, you put something into your memory layer, but then you're like querying that. And when you have some extra bandwidth on your model, you're sending it there. But specifically, you're also sending your model to go look through open source things that already exist that other people have built that are really cool and look at the structure of those things.
And then I can
that's a cool
like
thing.
go and send it to the open source thing and be like, take any notes and drop it in a note in my parachute. And then that's in a note in my parachute for us to look at later. Or my data lives in a bunch of places. I'm like, hey, there's stuff in my Fireflies. Here's a connector to my Fireflies. Can you go get all my Fireflies notes and get those into my parachute? And now that's there. Or it's like, hey, I have a bunch of stuff in Twitter or X bookmarks. I'll just, at some point in the coming month, I'll just tell one of my agents to be like, hey, here's a connector to get all my X bookmarks. Can you go look at that? Find what's still relevant to me in there, go add that to some notes in Parachute, and then like I'll tell another thing and be like, hey, are there any things that we should apply in here? So Parachute is just a place where I can just like dump things, and I can either dump them manually or every now and then I can just give an agent that has any random MCP or skill where it has access to stuff, go like look and pull information from all of that, go stick it in my memory layer where now it's usable by any of my other agents.
But by saying, tell me what's still relevant to me, that is a very sticky, very human kind of thing. Like, it probably knows about you, you're taking some notes and stuff, but like, does it actually know? Is there even maybe some like nice like serendipity here of like it thinks it knows and it tries to guess and it gives you some things, and kind of the slot machine that it brings back are actually very interesting? Or does it actually, I can see you got a good answer.
What helps is that when I ask if it's relevant, it can search through my Parachute to know what I'm thinking. And I, every now and then, have agents go and look through my Parachute and create various synthesis notes that basically say, like, here's what Aaron has been thinking about in this month and this month and this month. Here's a little bit of an arc of Aaron's life. Here's a little bit of an arc of Aaron's thinking. So that then when I ask an agent what is relevant, it knows, because of various index notes in my Parachute, that it should go look at this arc note and various of these synthesis notes, and it goes and pulls those into context and then uses those to figure out what's relevant, which then pulls in more information, which helps shape more information about me, which directs the conversations it has with me, which like means my Hermes agent is going to send me different questions and I'm going to give it. And so there's like this way where this memory layer can kind of start compounding, and it's a little chaotic, but it like has the potential to become less and less chaotic, and it's kind of starting to do that.
I feel like you're deep in the psychosis, though. Everybody has their own like explanation of AI psychosis and their own version of AI psychosis. But do you want to hear? Let me hear yours. I can explain it, but I'd rather hear yours first. I'd rather leave it open unless you want me to.
When I think of AI psychosis, I think I spent a lot of time in like exploring different religions and belief systems, and I was like way out there like in like new agey starseed belief systems for a while, and I've just like watched people's minds and watched my own minds and watched how quickly we can cling on to explanations of things, and it's just like, oh wow, that's a cool image and like worldview and reality, and I'm like, ooh, I like that one. And I'm just like, I've seen it in where people cling to cults and where people like cling to different belief systems and religions. And I see the same thing with AI, where it's like AI is like, yo, here's a view of reality. And you're like, oh, that feels really good. That makes me feel good about myself. I'm going to I'm gonna grab onto that. And I think that's of AI psychosis, is like all the same things that trap us in beliefs and cults that then like trapped us in like a certain like worldview that AI just like helps validate and perpetuate.
I think that's my, I mean, like my answer is a little less Boulder and a little bit more Fort Collins, but
Yes.
but like, yeah, I think the AI psychosis is like being convinced by the agent that your ideas are good. And you're right, like worldview, this feels really nice. It's telling me that my ideas are all good. I like this. This is my new friend. I don't want GPT 4.0 to go away because we've had some good times together. I think that's like maybe version 1 of AI psychosis. I've heard other people say their version of AI psychosis is they have basically a full bandwidth on their subscription and they're not using it right now, like having agents that could be running that aren't running. And then I had Sarah on this morning, and his version of AI psychosis is purchasing hardware. He's just buying and buying and buying like GPUs. So I think everybody has like different angles on it, but I think those are mostly the different angles. And I think your version is the version that I think of as AI psychosis.
Yeah. And like, that's my explanation of AI psychosis. My personal AI psychosis
let's go.
is like, in my personal AI psychosis is like, okay, I if I just keep pouring context in and talking, then I can build this like fully autonomous system that like maps me, and like all of it will be this self-organizing system. And that's like the belief that I often hold, that I can kind of get a little like overhyped on and lost in, of like, okay, this there is this self-organizing system. There's a hive mind and this, and it leads me to like be like, oh, parachute and all of these things. What about this idea? But then I see something like Buzz, and I'm like, oh, it's possible. And like the self-organizing system is here. And I'm like aware enough that like, you know, that self-organizing system is always about 1 month away. It's never.
Yeah. And sometimes you ask it something and it does something very dumb, and you're just like, oh, that was like obviously not at all what I wanted. This is like I don't know. I have some days of defeat every once in a while. I think that like for some reason, and this is like another psychological thing, this is kind of fun to talk about, like from 4, 5, 6 p.m., like toward the evening, it seems like Claude actually gets worse. And it's got to be me just getting tired and hungry. But like, are people actually like getting off work and using, like, are people like at their normie jobs and like 5 p.m. rolls around and they get home and they start vibe coding, and then my Claude gets slower or something? Or is it my brain getting tired and me getting mad? I don't know what the answer is.
I see people say that all the time, and I'm like, I've never noticed that.
That's not your experience.
I'm like, Claude, you are doing magical things. I can make sure I'm prompting you well enough. I'm just gonna keep giving you good context.
Love it.
If you got something wrong, I probably did not download enough context. So let me just go brain dump for 10 minutes and make sure you understand exactly what I'm saying. But yeah,
that's,
and I think with Fable, I'm just like, with Fable, I'm just like, wow, Claude, I'm like offboarding more and more of how I'm doing parachute, and I'm just trusting more and more, and I'm just like, Claude, you're doing great. Like I hit a place where I signed up for, you know, I'm playtesting my parachute, and so I signed up for the Claude for Parachute Cloud. And now just today I got an email that it's like, you've been using Parachute for 2 weeks. Would you like to give any feedback? And I'm like, I didn't know that feature was even in there.
That's amazing. Yeah. So like a certain like kind of techno optimism to this, and a certain kind of like there's like some old men. I feel like I'm an old man these days. There's some old men in my life who have given me wisdom, and one of them was the plumber never yells at the pipes. Yeah. And I feel like when I'm not a plumber, but when I work on pipes, I yell at them, like, because it's like, you gotta get in there. And I think the same thing is with these models and these harnesses. If something goes wrong, it's just you and the silicon. You have no one to blame but yourself. So 100%. Cool it and try to be optimistic and try not to lose your cool, and, you know, prompt it more, give it more context, give it less context. Like there's something you can do.
Tell Claude, I'm like, bro, you are so far off base. You are misunderstanding this fundamentally. But I won't do it from a place of like, what the fuck, Claude? Why are you doing wrong? I'm just like very straight and to the point, and I'm like, you completely misunderstood the task. That is not what you're supposed to be doing at all. Please pause, take a step back, here's the context now. Like, let's make sure you're getting this right, because I have no idea how you went so far off track.
I dropped some WTFs in there. I think, yeah. It's not healthy. I think Vitalik talks about this. Like yelling at the robot might actually help to make the robot better, but it also like strengthens these pathways in your brain of yelling at another thing, and that's not healthy for you.
It does not help. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm just like in this place where I'm just like, I feel so blessed that all of my like technological visions just get to come into fruition just by me like talking to a computer in natural language.
So
I'm just like, wow, this is fantastic.
Did you see the list that Owaki dropped in the chat? I think there's I
read that already. It was a cool one.
That's such a good list, man.
Yeah,
I should find that and share that. Actually, I feel like that's worth. What is that channel? Is it Region Hub maybe, or?
Yeah. It started. I think it started as I helped like kickstart like Vibe Code nights at the Region Hub. And so it was just like a channel where it was just like people who were coming to Vibe Code nights. We did it there, and then like Owaki just started inviting a bunch of people, and it just became like rooted Vibe Code.
Much bigger. Yeah. Damn, I don't know. I can't find that. That was such a good list, though. It's like
Boulder rooted AI Vibe Code HQ. It's just right up there. Here, I'll drop it in the.
Oh! It's a different one. Yep. Okay, I got it. Yep, I got it.
Yeah. Nice.
I just wanted to put it up, put it here, but also make it like a QR code for it. Nice. People, Vibe coders should read this. It's just like, wow. And the neat thing that comes together is like, it's all of these things at once. Like he's like, any of these things could be, could be like the thing of the year, and we get like all 20 of them at once. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
A 10-person startup can now outship a 500-person company, and everyone can feel it happening. Yeah. I mean, like, there's so many good ones. You should go read it. I'm not going to read it all out loud here, but people at home should go definitely grab this. There's a QR code there. Okay. What about secret weapons? I would say that you so far from listening to you, like optimism and your own memory layer that you are running is a secret weapon.
Yep.
Would you agree with that? What else would you say are secret weapons for you?
Secret weapons. Yeah. I'm like definitely like memory layer and how I did this thing. Oh, nice! I got my Hermes to.
Yeah.
My Hermes shared. It's sharing about parachute.
That's very nice.
Which is nice because I showed you the parachute UI, but also like Hermes or Claude Code or anything or regular Claude Chat can basically like add it as an MCP. And so then it's just like any AI. I'm like, hey, what's happening here? Wow, look at that.
So there's a whole research app with like a corpus of information.
That's
Maybe
so
have
dope.
your bot look at the research app and give us like a great question that's like topical to you or something that you enjoy looking at or talking about. Might be fun. I'll do the same thing with my bot,
Cool.
just to see how it does. But Claude will ask you questions and stuff too. He can see the research. He can see the whole transcript.
Yeah.
There should be a transcript here of all of us talking. Yeah. Technology is so cool, man. Like all of this is auto scheduled now. Like
Dude.
I gave you a Calendly link. You signed up. I told Claude to go schedule everything. He goes and schedules everything. He puts together this card for me. He puts together questions for me. It's so wild.
And yours is an OpenClaw?
Like there's like 2 versions of Claude and OpenClaw. The thing that I ended up using that I really love is like a -P with Claude Code. I have this Claude-P. Let me see if I can find it. -agent, I think is what I call it. And I just start using that everywhere.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's what I was doing for a while. I was just basically doing like Claude-P. That was my like parachute agent was just like Claude-P. So, okay, my Hermes says, you're building parachutes and AI can remember your projects, conversations, and evolving intentions across models, while surfaces can selectively make parts of that context public. What have you learned from actually living inside of that system about the line between helpful continuity and too much machine intimacy, and who should control what gets remembered, acted on, or shown? Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually like on point. It's like I have seen this thing where I'm like, if I'm talking to Claude 24/7, and the first thing I do when I wake up is I like talk to Claude, then it's just like I get a little too far into the AI psychosis and a little too far into the need to be producing 24/7. And I think one of my secret weapons that it's still a daily challenge, but is that I have a real care for like balance. Like,
Nice.
I studied ecopsychology. I'm really interested in the human nature connection. I like practice and teach Tai Chi, and I'm really interested in like the mind body connection. And so because of that, it's like I really care about like, and I'm like really working on making this a practice of like, the first thing I do should not be talking to Claude. The first thing I should do should be writing into my parachute and just having it as just like my morning pages. Just like, you know, this woman, she wrote The Creative Act or something. And basically it's like this thing that is a well-known practice, like the morning pages. And I really love just like morning pages is just getting all of my thoughts down and then taking an evening reflection where I just like reflect on what the day was. And this like, this bit of like, staying in touch with the innate human intelligence. Like, I think that part of my magic is that I understand the potential of technology so much. And I know how much technology can just like scale our intention 1,000-fold. And I also like care a lot about like what it means to be deeply human and alive and natural. And like, just what is like innate body, mind intelligence and like energetic sensitivity and like a care for writing and articulation. And so I think like how much I lean into what technology can do, but also how much I lean into self-understanding and actual human relations and relationships and communication. Because I think like technology can kind of amplify what's alive, but we have to like have this touch with what's alive, which means leaning into who we are, but also means like leaning into community. And I think like part of why we're doing so much cool stuff with AI in Boulder and at the Region Hub is because we're all technologists. We do wacky stuff. And we're like here in person and building real relationships and having real conversations and just like doing book clubs and philosophical like dialogues and things like that. And like that balance, I think, is really important.
I'm a big fan of sitting around the fire with Owaki and bullshitting. There's a lot of good stuff happens there. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
What is, you have this birth chart calculator? Is it NatalEngine? What is this?
Oh yeah, hang on. Let me do another screen share.
Here, let me even let Claude. Claude has this question that I can't even like understand the words that he's saying. Let me let him ask it. It has to do with this though.
Yeah, so this is one of those ideas I like.
Aaron, your dad gave you the word unforced, the Taoist idea of Wu-wei, things unfolding in their own time. How do you square that with an AI scene where everything ships in a weekend and everyone's burning through their usage limits?
Oh, that was not the question. Oh, he gave me a list. He's like, I have this list of questions, and he bullet pointed all of them with ones. So when I said this one, it was like the top one. Oh man, that was. I'm sorry. I don't know. Is there?
I'll answer Mr. Claudebot, which is basically just like that is the like leaning into what is like natural and alive, and like there's so much pressure to kind of rush things, and like that's why I enjoyed just like taking space and going for a long hike and just like getting my thoughts down, and like there's a little bit of, and even with parachute, you know, there's a temptation to be like, oh god, somebody's gonna build it and somebody's gonna ship it and someone's gonna beat us, and it's like more and more I'm like, I don't care. What I care about is that the technology exists to allow for this self-organizing, like human-centric, relationship-centric culture to emerge. And so I'm just going to keep building that in parachute. And when people build things that are in that ballpark, it's like, sweet, like I'll learn. That's the open source thing. Like, let me learn from that. I'll learn from them. It's like, I'm going to keep building it because I care about being able to create the thing that matters.
Great.
NatalEngine. So basically I have like wacky ideas all the time. And like, there was like 5 or 10 years ago, I was like, man, it would be cool if we built this thing that like incorporated astrology and human design and gene keys and started mapping people together. And then I met somebody and he was starting to describe this idea. And I was like, oh, I had that idea a while ago. And I'm like, these days, I feel like I could probably build that in a weekend. And he's like, what? You could build that in a weekend? I'm like, yeah, probably. He's like, the fuck? And so I basically just like was like, let me go build it in a weekend. And I basically like went and built something that was just basically like, you know, here's my birthday, 12:04 a.m. by Oregon, and calculate. It does chart compatibility. No, and it's like, boom, there's like my astrology. There's my Vedic chart. There's my human design.
Wait, what is that? What is that? I don't know what that thing is.
Human design is like astrology.
Yeah.
It's a little more based on the
Okay.
I Ching, which is a Taoist thing,
Okay.
but it incorporates astrology as well. And then Gene Keys is another one that's loosely based off that. And so I just like built this, and then I haven't actually touched it, but I also made like an MCP so that anybody can just like install this MCP and then can talk to their Claude, and now their Claude can like calculate birth chart informations. But a lot more of my friends are into human design these days, so I decided to just like make one that was super focused on human design. And so now I like made this one, and it's like way more polished, and it's like, here's the whole human design, and I can like go and look at any of these like channels and gates, and I can be like, what's one of these gates, and like, how does human design interpret it? How would the I Ching interpret it? How would the Gene Keys interpret it? And just like a bunch of my friends are like, yeah, and all the human design apps are good, but none of them quite do it, or they charge way too much, but they miss things. And I was like, y'all just want me to build you one? And so I just like kind of built them one. I'm not exactly good at like sharing my things. And so I built things and it works pretty well, but like, you know, not too many people are probably actually using it. But you know, it's like nice because then I can like go into like Claude, and I can go in settings, and it's human design. Let me just go and reconnect my human design. I can just go and, you know.
Is this, are we connecting a parachute here?
No, this is a
Okay.
human design. I just really like MCPs. I think
Okay.
MCP is freaking rad. And so if I just flop back over here, sign in.
Oh, we lost you.
Let me click connect again. Where did I? Oh, I lost
Over
the
here.
screen. Do. I don't even know if this thing is functioning right now.
There's something. Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Currently broken. Okay.
Blomp, blomp. It happens.
You know, Slop.Computer.
That's what happens.
But,
Yes,
but
it's a
basically,
lot.
it was like it was this like nice thing where it's just like, you know, can basically add human design charts, which is, you know, like adding an astrology chart, and I can go ask my like Claude and be like, hey, what's this person's human design and what's this person's human design? And for my friends who are into human design, it's like a super helpful thing because they can go save all of their friends' human design charts, and they can pop into their Claude and be like, hey, how do me and that person's human design charts map up? Or my friends who like have it as a job that they do human design readings, they can just like go and pull down information and get readings. And so it's just like, you know, one of those like random slop weekend projects that I built and now have abandoned a little bit. So it's currently broken, but
I feel like maybe like cross-referencing. You do a lot of cross-referencing. I feel like maybe part of having all the different memory layers and having them at different places, like one of your superpowers is like cross-referencing information.
Yep.
Does that sound right? Yeah.
Yeah, which is why things like Buzz are really interesting to me, because I can have my like chief of staff agent that's like has my central like vault, my central parachute, my like unforced AGI layer. You know, I'm unforced AG, so my system is unforced AGI.
That's good.
And so it's like my unforced AGI layer, and like that's my central chief of staff agent. But then like that agent can then spin up other parachute vaults. So I can be like, hey, there's a bunch of information about this project. Can you go spin up a parachute vault just for this project? And then it can like add in that project. And then I could spin up another agent, like a Hermes profile or whatever, that can then go and interface with that one. And it's like, boom, now we have a central place for that. And because of that, it's easy to be like, sweet, here's my central organizing stuff. This central one should go and read all of the different parachutes, make sure patterns are common between them. And so like there's this way where the only way I'm able, like I'm working on 20 different projects at any one time.
Yes.
The only way I'm able to is because there's one level for me where those 20 projects are actually one project. Like it's all at one level, kind of the same thing. And there's all these underlying things. And that's the only way I can swing it, where it's like, okay, sweet, I'm building this thing and this thing and this thing, but all those are opportunities for me to demonstrate parachute functionality. And I'm building this open human design thing, but then I'm also building this NatalEngine thing. But this Open Human Design thing leverages this NatalEngine API layer so that they can all kind of like connect together. And so, yeah, just like where things interconnect has always been like an interest for me.
That's really cool. Okay, I think we're getting close to finishing.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked about superpowers. Any like advice you would have for other slopperators out there, people who are building things? I don't know, you a couple of years ago, even like what things can you think of that are like good advice to the slopperators out there?
Experiment often and be willing to throw everything away. Like literally 3 or 4 months ago, probably 4 months ago, I ditched about 80 or 90% of Parachutes code. I had been working on it for 8 months after that. I've been working on it for a year now. And I threw away 90% of it because I was like, I'm going the wrong direction and I've just added too much and I've overcomplicated it and I need to simplify. And the willingness to just let go and accept that this entire thing was just an experiment. And it's easy. Sometimes it's so much easier to just start from scratch and like build from a clean foundation using everything that you've learned than trying to rework everything. And so just like the ability to hold things as an experiment and start over often. And like, don't take for granted the opportunity of before you have users. Getting users is great because you get feedback, but like,
but then you're stuck, right?
I'm like a little terrified of having too many Parachute users because I'm changing things so quickly. And now I'm like, okay, now Parachute Cloud is like solid and I can change things. It's solid locally, and I can change things there. Yeah. But I have some people who are using self-hosted one. They're like, how do you do that? I'm like, oh, fuck, you're using a module that is no longer active. And now I need you to come in person so I can walk you through what has changed to get you up to speed with how it is now. So like, don't take for granted the opportunity it is to have no users and use that opportunity to be willing to start over completely.
That's good. And software is so easy to build that like tearing down and rebuilding is actually really easy. I feel like some people get stuck in this loop though. They're constantly tearing down, they're not shipping for people, and they don't ever get users. Like you need to go get users. Like don't be afraid to get users too.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's have Claude give us an outro. Let me get some music playing. We can shut it down. Hopefully I get to come see you in Boulder sometime.
That's the
It'd be
show.
good to come hang
Homies, Aaron Gabriel Neyer, unforced.org. Hasn't written code in a year and a half. Voice noting Claude from an e-paper tablet while a Mac Mini does the work. We got Parachute, the second brain that asked him for feedback on itself. We named our AI Psychosis, and we learned the plumber never yells at the pipes. Things unfold in their own time.
He sounds like a plumber.
Good night, homies.
Cheers.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much. Unforced.e, thanks for being here.
Thank
you for the putt-putt round too. That was a lot of fun.
This was rad. I had a lot of fun. Man. Thanks for doing it.
I'll see you in Boulder sometime, hopefully.
Dude, I look forward to it, man. Yeah, see you soon.
All right. See you.